tricky, but
You have to kind of hold it for a second.
the red ring should turn to green.
Hold it down? Oh, you have it.
You just hold it for a second. It should turn.
Okay, let's go ahead and call to order the TDC Marketing Communications Committee meeting. We do have a quorum. Do that again. We do have a quorum. 4 makes the quorum. We've got 5. So we are going to ask for any public comment on agenda items at this time. Any members of the public? That's a big move on. And so now we're going to look at approval of the minutes from the last meeting that was the combined meeting of marketing and events. I'll give you just a minute to look over the minutes in case you didn't get a chance to.
I make to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
We've had approval and a second. Any discussion? Can I get the ayes? Ayes. Any nays? And so the minutes are approved as is. I didn't do any discussion. Any discussion? Okay. I'm trying to go by the book here. Remember my Robert's rules? Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. So now we're going to get into our new business portion of the agenda and the co-op program and the media plan review. And we're going to take those separately. We're going to start with the co-op portion of that. I know there's at least one change in there that we want to acknowledge, but I'm going to ask Mike Kerrigan of the TDC to give us just a brief kind of overview of the co-op program, where the percentages are going to fall in terms of the money spent and any changes that we're going to be seeing moving forward.
Sure, thanks, Stacy. So just kind of a quick refresher. I know there's a lot of new faces on the committee. So the co-op program is an opportunity for our partners to participate with us in our media buy and be included and get some of the benefits of our kind of mass media plan. So as you'll see, and I realize that the way our media plan comes across in a huge Excel spreadsheet, it can be a little difficult to digest. So I'll kind of walk through it high level wise. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. I'll talk about some of the ways it's different from previous years, and we can kind of go from there. So on the co-op side, there's 287 total opportunities. This is a once a year sales opportunity that we put out to our partners. We will open it up on June 25th, and opportunities are sold on a first come, first served basis. Those are broken up into 3 categories: leisure, group sales, and weddings. So within each of those, leisure, there's print, interactive, and an email sweepstakes component. So basically the print, different magazines that we're in, will offer opportunities for partner logos, URLs, a tagline, and a phone number to appear in those print ads with us. There are limits, depending on the size of the ad, to the number of partners per opportunity. Interactive is 1 partner per opportunity, so that's where you can participate in our digital buy. The digital ads will then link back to the partner listing on our website. May have locked Jim out. And then email sweepstakes, which is a once a month opportunity that goes to a segment of our email database where folks that have opted in will have the opportunity to win something from the participating partner. So for instance, if it's a hotelier, they can give away a 3-night stay. We'll put that out in a sweepstakes on our website, blast out an email blast to our segmented list of folks who have opted in, as well as a couple of paid lists, and that's a 1 partner per month opportunity. So that covers the leisure portion. The group sales is very similar, just doesn't have the email sweepstakes component. It has the print component and interactive. In previous years, the group sales component did not have an interactive aspect to it. It was only a print opportunity. So we have added the interactive opportunities in that segment as well. And then weddings as well, print and interactive there. Again, all the interactive ads link back to the partner listing on our website. A couple of things that are a little bit different this year that I want to point out. One is that we have, after hearing some partner feedback, decided to open co-op opportunities to non-bed tax collectors. So previously, it was only bed tax collectors that had the opportunity to buy in and participate. This year, after getting a lot of feedback from partners, we've opened up certain opportunities that are explained in the detail here to people in the shopping, restaurant, and activity space as well. Those are only interactive opportunities. We did have a rate increase this year for the first time in 7 years. Our media rates are generally going up 7% a year. We've held the co-op rates frozen for the last 7 years and figured it was a time to catch that up a little bit. That 20% increase usually represents sometimes a $50 increase, sometimes a $200 increase, but just to help us kind of keep up with our increasing costs. The other thing that's a little bit different this year is the visitor guide. So previously we would sell quarter page, half page, and full page ads in our visitor guide. As we've talked about in the past, we are in the process of printing a new visitor guide. Because of the timing of it, the existing visitor guide will have about 1.5 years of shelf life. So those co-op partners will be bonused a little extra time with their ad. So we will not be producing another visitor guide for another 1.5 years, if that makes sense. So in a 3-year period, there'll be 2 visitor guides, each lasting about 18 months. So this upcoming visitor guide will not have a new co-op sales opportunity.
Mike, would you mind reiterating which of the 18 opportunities the non-bed tax collectors will have the opportunity to participate in?
Sure. So if you go into the, I think the attachment was called the cooperative marketing detail, you'll see there they're broken down. So the interactive component, there will be package 1 and package 2, and you can see as you flip through those, the difference between package 1 and package 2 is number of guaranteed clicks. So package 1 has a guaranteed number of clicks at 1,000. Package number 2 has a guaranteed number of clicks at 3,000. So the price is different accordingly. In package 1, there'll be 6 opportunities for non-bed tax collectors. In package 2, 4 opportunities for non-bed tax collectors. There is a social component as well with Facebook advertising. It's really Facebook and Instagram kind of bought together through the same platform. And we have 8 opportunities there. So a total of 18 opportunities this year for non-bed tax collectors to participate. We thought it was important to do this. We've been hearing about it for a while. We wanted to give it a try and see how it goes for a year. If it turns out to be successful and there's high demand for it, we can look at expanding it in the future. If we determine that it's not well received by our partners in that space, we can adjust accordingly the other direction.
How are we delivering that message to the non-bed tax collectors?
Through our email database. The same way we put these opportunities out to our bed tax collectors, we'll send out an email on June 13th will be the date that it goes out. It was in our last connection e-newsletter as well, to be on the lookout for it. So it'll also be in our June e-newsletter when the link is live.
Does the co-op program typically sell out?
It did not last year. It comes pretty close. We increased the number of opportunities this year. There are certain opportunities that don't sell out. Some magazines that we know do sell out every year. It was probably last year about 90% sold out. So typically what we do is we'll open it up for sales for a 1-week period or a 5-day period. Put all that together, see where we fall, and if we determine that there are enough opportunities left over, we can re-put those out and see if anybody would like them. But historically, it doesn't sell out, but comes pretty close. And just you mentioned the kind of the difference in kind of how we spend on digital versus print and some of those other things. There was a worksheet in that big Excel document, one of the tabs towards the end was kind of a summary worksheet. And I can just run through some of the numbers real quick. The co-op print program is $738,000. There are some expensive publications in there on a national level, Southern Living, Oprah, some of those. As you'll see as we get into the rest of the media plan, The co-op portion of the media plan for print just about covers all of our print buy. The interactive and Facebook opportunities for co-op is $260,000. And then we have a cost of $85,000 for the email sweepstakes through the paid list that we subscribe to for that.
How are you putting together your creative this year? Are you guys doing video? Is there going to be new creative that's going to roll out that we're going to be looking at?
Yeah, so we rolled out the new brand ads last year. We'll continue to use those and likely add one or two as well. One thing that we're doing differently this year that we learned last year is when people are buying their co-op opportunities, they will know what creative is running. So if you decide you want to be in Coastal Living magazine, you'll know what brand creative is running. So you can make your decision based on both the media as well as the creative as well.
I just have a question. So if we didn't quite sell out last year, but we added more opportunities for this year, where were those opportunities added?
Sure. So the opportunities were added, one, to create some space for non-bed tax collectors, also to open up interactive opportunities in the meetings space as well. The one thing about the interactive opportunities is those nearly sell out, so we did up that a little bit. So it's a kind of a combination. Now we did reduce because of the no ads in the visitor guide this time around, but we saw where things were popular, to be honest with you, and sometimes we had an opportunity to add another issue of a popular magazine throughout the year that would add 3 or sometimes 6 opportunities.
Thank you.
So I know we're doing less print, more digital, which is, what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a percentage breakdown of what's going into print versus digital versus social?
I don't have an exact breakdown. I can tell you that by some quick math, it's in the co-op program, it's about 1.1 million in media buys. Of that, about 75%, 74% is print. A lot of those print buys are based on our ability to get added value in the interactive space from some of those publications, including the opportunity to generate email address leads and things like that. In the non-co-op buy or the regular media buy, it's significantly much more heavily social and digital with almost no print.
So I saw where there was a value added section here. Is that what was negotiated above and beyond the dollars that are being spent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a big part of kind of the decisions. Obviously, with these publications, we know demographics and distribution and things like that. But a lot of the decisions on where to go were based on our ability to generate email address leads, to get advertorial in some of these publications, and to mirror with some of the editorial content that's in the publications. You'll see as you go through the Excel spreadsheet, some of them have a Florida vacations issue, things like that. So those sorts of things were taken into consideration.
I have a question. Can you expand upon exactly what is the sweepstakes email? What is that exactly?
Sure. So on a monthly basis, so we have a couple of different email lists. One is simply people who are interested in sweepstakes or have indicated to us they'd like to receive sweepstakes information from our partners. Mm-hmm. So every month we'll send out to that email database as well as 2 or 3 purchase lists that we use for this program, a sweepstakes with a prize from a partner. So it could be a resort that's giving away dinner and a 2-night stay. We send it out. It's an email or an online form that folks can fill out with their information to be entered into the drawing. The partner gets those leads back, gets all those email addresses back. A winner is selected at random, and then the partner and the winner handle the exchange of the prize.
So that cost, that $7,000, is because of the database size?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
because of the deployment of the email as well
Yeah.
as the purchase list that we use as well.
Got it.
Anybody have any other questions, or would you like some more time to spend looking at it?
I just have one. I know that the increased costs across all placements are 20%. Were any of these weighted a little higher or lower than that? Is the number to sort of help balance out all of them because some are higher, some are lower, or how did that?
Yeah, we didn't weight it. We did kind of a flat 20% across the board, even though we know that maybe some opportunities increase more quickly in cost than others. We still maintain extremely low rates for our partners to participate, so we thought 20% was easy and would get us caught up a little bit to catch up with those media costs, but we didn't weigh any publications or any digital opportunities any more than others.
Can you expand upon the Facebook advertising too?
Sure. So, and if you flip in the detail there, it'll show it in the interactive. So the paid social media.
Okay.
This is something that we've been doing for a couple of years now, and it's gone quite well. It allows, again, one partner at a time, so that's not a shared opportunity. We will, through our Facebook page, put out messaging on behalf of the partner and target it to our target markets and our target audience to get engagement and to get, again, clicks back to partner listings on the website. So they are seasonally offered, extremely well received in the last couple of years by our partners. We're able to report back after any campaign runs. We report back to our partners. We work with the partners, especially on the Facebook, on the creative and the copy, because it is so flexible. So that's something that we're happy to see continue and keep growing that. It helps our social reach and gives our partners a way to expand their social reach into our target markets as well.
Nice.
Any other discussion? You guys want some more time?
Good.
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 Thank you.
We do need
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
make a motion on the co-op plan to recommend it.
I'll make a motion we're sending it to the BCC?
Yeah, to the TDC first and then ultimately to the
TDC.
BCC.
I make a motion to recommend this to the TDC for approval.
A second.
And any discussion? Can we all vote? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Okay, passes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. A lot of good work there.
Yeah, we're excited about it. It's gone well in the past, so it didn't need a tremendous amount of refining, but we wanted to try some new things this year and get the non-bed tax collectors involved and kind of see how that goes. So we're excited about it. So thank
Mike,
you
how
for
much
that.
did the media budget go up this year with the added opportunities?
Overall, the media budget dropped by about 10%. The 2019 that we're going to discuss next versus 2018. There are some projects that we want to accomplish in 2019 that are one-time or once every 5 years type of products or projects. And so we pulled back from the media plan a little bit, mostly in radio and print, to pay for some of those projects.
Great, and we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah, so I'll go through, in that big multi-tabbed spreadsheet, I'll kind of give a brief overview of what each tab meant, because I know it's confusing if, for those of you who've never seen it before, and just to just to kind of clarify kind of how it works and what each one of those kind of buckets of budget is meant to do. So the leisure media, which is the biggest chunk of it, also probably the easiest to understand, that includes the co-op and the brand ads, print, online, social, video promotion, our e-newsletters, and things like that. The group sales is where we promote to weddings and group events. Again, that includes the co-op. That went up this year, even though the media budget went down. That part of the budget was probably a little underserved in the past, so we did bump that up about 20%.
Which section was that? I'm sorry.
That was the group sales
Group
media.
sales, okay.
Yep. The pay-per-click campaign, as we continue to kind of refine our keywords and our pay-per-click strategy, we increased that by 20% this year, from $200,000 to $250,000 annually. The beach safety media, this is one of the only places that we do in-market advertising. So we'll be obviously doing that again next year, communicating the beach safety flag system to folks while they're here on vacation. Local outdoor is another tab. It's $75,000 annually. It's you may have seen a couple of billboards we have around town trying to get that welcome to South Walton, that brand recognition lifted up a little bit. So very small part of the overall budget, but also in market there.
If I may ask a question real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt
Sure.
you. In the future, if we get to a park and ride system, can it be marketed the same way that the beach safety is?
Yes, and actually, we're planning on doing that with the state parks parking program that we're doing this summer. We'll be doing some digital advertising for that. So
Okay.
that sounds
Good.
along the lines of what you're speaking about.
Yeah, thank you.
The shoulder season reserve is kind of a strangely named category, but basically that gives us the opportunity to hold some money back to promote shoulder season. This would be again shoulder season in the fiscal 2019, so we're about a year and a half away from that. That is mostly digital video and things like that as we get into our Endless Summer campaign and that sort of thing. So we hold a little extra money back outside of our core media plan, and not a little, rather $775,000 altogether to promote shoulder season. The event grant media, this is one that has gone through some changes over the last couple of years. We have, you guys were kind enough to approve our event plan. It went to the TDC and the BCC and was approved by those as well. And if you remember, the only kind of paid media portion of it is about 25% of the total plan. There's some reimbursement categories and some other support categories. So we'll be spending significantly less on media because this year the event plan or the event program was nearly all media funded by Visit South Walton. So pretty significant change on that one. Brand activations, where we go into target markets and bring our brand activation unit and our team to interact at events and interact with crowds in different markets, is something that we've been doing for several years. Those of you who've been on this committee for a while know that in this year, 2018, we kind of hit the pause button on it to save that money and move that to website development. In 2019, we anticipate that website development being complete and we can get kind of back in gear on the brand activations front. So those are kind of all the categories. Real quick, just kind of a high-level overview. Like I said, we're shifting away from print, radio, and cable television, focusing significantly more on social and interactive and digital video opportunities. Increasing the pay-per-click, as I mentioned, and renewed focus on activations, like I mentioned as well. So those are kind of the high-level thoughts. That kind of summary tab breaks it down by category, and you can see the totals there. Over the years, we've had the same media buying agency for 6 or 7 years or so. with the digital opportunities and the interactive opportunities, we've got a pretty good handle on what works for us and what's been performing well. We're continuing those opportunities and further investing in those opportunities and letting some of the media that's a little bit more difficult to track, a little bit more difficult to measure, like radio and cable television, which are being replaced by digital opportunities. We're either scaling back or eliminating some of those opportunities.
Does this exclude all cable? Is the fishing show going to be renewed, or is there any other?
We do plan at this point to renew the fishing show. It is in here in the media plan. Again, that has to go before the TDC as well in a few weeks. And again, for those of you who are somewhat new to the committee, we have a weekly show on the Sportsman's Channel called South Walton Fishing Adventures. This is the first year that we did it. It's gone well. We've had some challenges with it as well. Some parts of it we've been happy with. Some parts were learning experience. We think going into a second season, we can kind of refocus on the show a little bit, change the format a little bit and kind of how we operate on the show, and see where it can go in a season 2. It is an opportunity at a pretty reasonable cost to have a national reach and really a long-form format to showcase what a beautiful area this is. So we do anticipate a second season of the fishing program.
For those of us that aren't aware of it, how many episodes are there for a season?
Sure, 13.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 13 weeks, then it reruns for 13 weeks, and the network owns kind of all the episodes. Once they've aired and rerun, then we get all the footage back, and we can use it to disseminate however we like.
How do you measure ROI on that?
We get ratings back. That's the easiest way to do it. Really, I think the ROI is going to come when we get them all back in-house and we have control over them, and we can cut them up and disseminate it socially and digitally and really create some great content out of 6.5 hours of edited, produced footage. So it's a long-term project. The best we can do now is we know that each airing is seen in about 20,000 households. So we get typically 4 or 5 airings a week. Now some of those are at 2 o'clock in the morning and things like that, but we're averaging about 20,000 households per airing. So we're pretty happy with those numbers. Again, the investment level is not outrageous, so we thought it was worth trying for a second season and seeing what improvements we can make in a season 2, and then reevaluating it at the end of that.
And one more question: at what point and how are the activations identified, determined, and selected?
So we've got a few that we've done for the past couple of years, and typically 3 or 4 years. If we find one that we like, we want to do it for a few years and get some traction in that market. We've been to the Boudin Bourbon and Beer Festival in New Orleans for the past few years, and we anticipate going back again to strengthen those. So our agency, as well as our staff, looks for different festivals and events in some of these feeder markets, especially those having to do with food and wine or food and beverage, where we can bring, or with art, where we can bring our artists of the year or bring local chefs. So we're constantly looking at these. There are a lot of agencies that reach out to us with opportunities as well to participate. So our staff, along with our agency, will kind of look at a dozen or so opportunities and start scaling down on what we like and what we don't like. And those that we've done in the past, we make a determination on, do we want to go back and do this again, or let it go and try something new.
Do you have a set criteria that you're looking at when you review each of these? Is it sort of a standardized criteria, or?
Yeah, it's a few things. It's part of it is kind of like our media buys, the market, the demographics, the makeup of the event itself, what activities are at the event, who's going, how much it costs. We try and stay away from free events, and we try and go to events with a high ticket price. And then working with each event organizer on how we can activate the brand and what we can and cannot do. For instance, the one in New Orleans, we bring 5 or 6 chefs, and we have a huge tent, and we have a great presence at. So over the years, we've developed some relationships that allow us to get pretty interactive with the crowd. So it's really starts with the markets that we want to be in, and then just what opportunities exist there.
And then Mike, on the the summary page, the video promotion is listed at $300,000 is the budget, and then it says national TV is 160. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah, so it's a little confusing there. You can kind of look at them together. It is partially dictated by the way we're funded and the separation of the 4 pennies. When we say that 300,000, some of that may be cable. Potentially, there are some unique cable opportunities. Some of it can be some Hulu advertising we've done before and things like that. National TV may not be the most accurate description. That's really an internal term or a budget line item term. But that video promotion can be anything from the fishing show, which is a national show.
That's what I wondered, if the fishing show was in that.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
But it could also include video produced for the internet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We do, occasionally we'll do pre-roll on Hulu or pre-roll on YouTube, things like that. Those would fall into that category.
And is that new video you're going to have to create, or you've already got that in the can?
A little of both. Yeah, some of it we'll produce new in 2019. A big part of our budget we're dedicating to video and photography production to kind of keep building that asset library that we really need. Some of it can be stuff that we've already got in-house. It'll be a combination of the two.
And then on your outdoor, in-market, 2 boards, 75,000? Where are those boards?
Yeah, so it's 2 for sure, and there's plenty of room in there for more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
you're not
so I
telling
should
me that
clarify
those are,
No.
37,000
Yeah.
apiece.
I'm
That's,
getting a deal if that's what you're paying.
yeah, that's right. Jay just reminded me, we currently have 3, so it should say 3 in there,
Okay.
but still 75,000. The reason we wanted to build that cushion in there, the board availability in South Walton is so scarce. We're kind of on the waiting list, and we don't want them to call and say we have a great one available, and we say we didn't build it into our budget, so we can't do it. So we left quite a bit of space in there to add up to 2 more.
And are you looking at new creative for those boards?
Potentially so. We haven't gotten that far necessarily. The creative that is on them now is new since I've been in the role, so probably 6 months old or so.
Is that the relax you're here, or with the,
No, it's just welcome to South Walton.
it's got the chair on the beach?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, that was the old, we replaced.
It's really
the-
memorable, whatever it is.
Apparently, no, it's a very clean, simple beach picture that just says welcome to South Walton, and the South Walton is our logo.
And where are those boards?
There is one as you're driving south on 331 on the east side of 331 just before you get to the bridge. There is one on 98 as you're driving west near kind of Goodwill on the west side of 393. And there is one in Miramar Beach kind of behind the CVS Waffle House across from Silver Sands.
That's the one I always see.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Anybody need any more time? We are going to need to make a motion to approve the plan going to the TDC board.
I'll make a motion to approve the marketing plan.
A second.
So we got a first and second to approve the media plan. Any more discussion? Can I hear the ayes?
Ayes.
Any nays? All right, it passes. The motion passes.
Great. The next items on the agenda are some research that we got back from Downs and St. Germain that we wanted to share. In your packets and attached to the agenda were the full versions of their findings, and I won't go through slide by slide. But we're excited about the 2017 calendar year economic impact report. And the best way really to look at that one rather than in the PowerPoint is in the folded piece that I gave you. And if you've been to any of our events in the last 2 weeks or so, we've been giving those out. Those will be mailed to every household in Walton County here in the next couple of weeks. But some of the big takeaways are approximately 22,000 jobs created by tourism, over $23 million collected in bed tax, and $4.4 billion economic impact. So all really, really encouraging numbers. Our research agency, who does research around the state, found that we're the second most tourism-dependent county in the state. So we're very encouraged by the upward trend of a lot of these numbers. And I think that annual report that you have there kind of spells it out pretty clearly and easily. And like I said, if you live in Walton County, you should be getting one of those in the mail here before too long.
So we're the second most tourism-based county in the state of Florida?
The second most tourism-dependent county, correct. And
Who's first?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. As I said that, I had a feeling that question would come up. And
Probably Orlando,
I couldn't
Orange.
remember. I'm not entirely sure. But I believe we are 10th in bed tax collection out of the 67 counties, even though we're much further down on the list in terms of size and population base. So all really encouraging, really pretty exciting numbers that we're excited to share with kind of our industry partners, but as well as the residents of the county as well, so they can hopefully get a better understanding of our reliance on tourism and really all the things it does for us as a county.
I was very encouraged to see in the report that 19% of the folks polled used the term South Walton.
Yeah.
And that's got to be growth, because I can remember when it was like 2%.
Yeah,
That's
it's
encouraging.
It's encouraging. It's slow growth. We know that that's kind of a long game, and we've got different plans in place and different products that we're rolling out to kind of keep that upward trend going. And but yeah, we're encouraged by the upward movement in that number as well. The other piece of research there is the winter visitor tracking study. Nothing really jumped out here. As we know, it's generally an older crowd. They stay a little bit longer, usually less likely to travel with children. They spend a little bit less per day than our spring, summer, and fall visitors. One thing that was interesting, the last few pages of that study, which is probably the last few pages of what you have there, breaks it down in a couple of ways. So we know the winter visitor is fairly diverse in that you still get your weekly vacationers or your weekend vacationers, but then also the folks that are going to stay for an extended period of time. So those last few slides kind of break that down and show you the difference between our long-term or 10 or more night visitor, the weekly visitor, and then the day tripper. So kind of an interesting breakdown there. And as you'll see, I think it's the second to last slide, 19% of those long-term visitors are international, which is going to be just about entirely Canadian, and that's really the bulk of our international visitation throughout the year.
So are we seeing a slight increase in folks flying into the market?
Slight. Yeah, very slight. This next month, I guess, 4 weeks or so from now, American Airlines will start flying in. So that growth has been steady but slow as new air carriers come in and new routes are opened up. That'll continue to grow. but we're still, I believe, at 86% driving. I think for 17, I think in 16 it was 87% to 13, and it went to 86-14. So we anticipate that fly-in number continuing to grow, but we still know that the drive market is going to dominate for the foreseeable future.
Are we still the second most popular drive market in the state of Florida?
I believe so. The last I heard, Orlando was one, and we were number 2. So those research studies, we'll share them each of these meetings. We'll share whatever new research we get back. Myself and our agency just went to Dallas and Atlanta to conduct focus groups for an emotional positioning study, and we should get those results, I believe, this week. So we'll be excited to share those results with you guys when we get those back. That was an interesting experience.
Sorry, what was the goal of the focus group?
Those were, it was an emotional positioning study. So the questions that were being asked, they were folks that had been here before, mostly several times, talking about the feelings that they have when they're here that they don't have somewhere else, and kind of what brings them back, and not necessarily it's the dining or the shopping or the beach, but the kind of emotional response that they have when they're here in the market that they don't have in Amelia Island or Myrtle Beach or Naples or any of those others. So really interesting study, and like I said, we'll be getting those results, I believe, this week, and we'll get those shared when we get them done.
That'll be fun.
I'll be happy to answer any research-related questions or.
Hey, Mike, are we going to do surveys around the economic impact of events? We've talked about the possibility of bringing that back.
Yeah, it is in the 2019 budget. Yep.
Any questions?
Nope.
Nope. We don't need to pass any motion on
No.
that, other than to say thank you.
Yeah, those are just informational, and if you can use them in your businesses, we're
Absolutely.
excited.
I mean, I continue to be just a huge proponent of the research
Good.
reports and projects. I just think being able to, get that kind of information is so important for the businesses here. And I know we go through it and, pore over it, make notes.
good.
So, yeah. We are ready for our director's update.
Okay, so just a few things, and the question came up a couple of times today. So Dan Kaiser has moved and took a position elsewhere, so we're down to 6. We actually, so we'll replace Dan, and we'll actually add 2 more members to the committee. So during the process of reseating the committee a few months ago, we made the decision to reduce all of our committees from 9 members down to 7 in an effort to have a better chance of getting a quorum. This committee never really had a quorum issue. Some of our other committees regarding beach operations did, but we wanted to make it kind of across the board. The Board of County Commissioners has asked us to move it back to 9, which we'll of course do, but we're able to keep the quorum number at 4. So we suggested we go to 7-member committees, 4 being a quorum. They've asked us to go back to 9, but that we can still have a quorum at 4. So since we just so recently opened these committees up for applications, we still have a lot of good applicants that are eager to serve. So we believe with those applications we'll be able to replace Dan's seat and add 2 more to get us back up to 9. Tourism Week was last week. I know I saw some of you at some of our events and things like that. We had some workshops and the chamber lunch and our Perfect in South Walton award. So thank you for coming. This was the first time I think in a while that we've had that much of an activity around Tourism Week, and went really well. A lot of our staff worked really hard on it, and it all turned out great. So you can continue to expect that in future years, and probably ramped up a bit in future years. So thanks for those of you that came out.
Mike, can I make a comment about that?
Yeah.
I thought the Perfect and South Walton Awards was a really wonderful success, and congratulations this year to those of the staff that worked on that and those who put together the event at Grayton. It seemed like it was really a really good turnout. A lot of businesses in South Walton were acknowledged appropriately. Are you getting any feedback on that at all?
Yeah, from everyone that went, had a blast. And then, of course, we announce the winners on our website and social and everything else, and that's always very well received and performs very well. And really, all this around Tourism Week, we wanted to give ourselves kind of a better opportunity to interact with our partners, some of them who we interact with frequently, some of them maybe not so much, and get a little bit of face time. So from that aspect, we've got kind of a recap meeting later this week, but I think all of our staff was really happy, and we got a lot of great feedback coming back from partners on all the, we really had 3 days of events. On all the events, the feedback was great. So it was a lot of fun, and like I said, a lot of people on our staff put a lot of work into it, so it was well worth it. You have in front of you there Savor. We talked about this. It came out, I think, just after our last meeting, maybe. So or it came back from the printer just after our last meeting, so I didn't have a chance to share it until now. We talked about some of these publications that we're going to be producing for in-market distribution to continue to inform and educate our guests and provide valuable resources with our branding. So we're thrilled that that one's out. It has the winners of the Perfect Awards in the dining and beverage categories in it. So those are yours to keep. You'll be seeing them around town, and we'll kind of continue to add to that suite of print publications that we're doing in-house.
So is this only going to be locally distributed?
For right now, it'll be distributed locally. We will likely add a spot on our website where if you request a visitor guide, you can request one of these as well. And we'll bring them to activations and sales shows and things like that as we physically go out of market and bring our collateral with us as well. So excited to get that one done.
I love the paper on this.
I do too. It's got a really nice feel.
And I see you're going for a whole brand thing here.
Yeah.
It's cohesive.
Yeah,
Very nice.
That's the idea. And that's all I've got for my director's update.
Okay. So council comments, does that mean, is that committee comments?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments from the committee?
No, I thank the council for supporting the Underwater Museum of Art event. It was very successful, a lot of fun. And do you guys have any updates on the TDC move?
So for a TDC move, oh geez, a little loud. For the TDC move, we are working on contracts to bring back to the Board of County Commissioners. This, just real quick, Jim knows obviously since he's on the council, but last meeting, we actually had a special meeting, TDC meeting, to discuss some properties just a little bit further to the north of here, and actually the transmitter site just next door, as a couple of possible locations for relocating the TDC admin and visitor center. And so the council approved the 2 sites where the Sandcastles building is and the regional utilities parcel right next door. They approved to move that forward to the board. And so the board gave us permission to go back and negotiate and move forward with contracts. And at the same time, see if there were any options for this property right next door that's owned by the Air Force, to see if there's anything we can do with that. So we're in the process of doing that while we negotiate the contracts and bring that back to the board. So we may have that for the next BCC meeting. We're not 100% sure. We're still talking to the owners of those properties about those contracts. So if we don't have it for Tuesday's BCC meeting, we will definitely have it for the following meeting. And then the board will decide on which property they'll move forward with at that point, whether it's the ones a little bit further to the north or these right here.
And where was the one you said, Sandcastle?
You know this old Sandcastles Vacation Rentals building a little bit further? It is on the west side of 331 as you come down from the bridge.
Okay.
It's maybe about half a mile from the bridge. And then there's, you know, where there's Elmore's, and then you go a little bit further and there's a plumbing supply company, and then there's a vacant piece of property. So it's in that area right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would be great for the visitor center. to have that visibility as folks are coming down to South Walton right there. They don't have to go and mess with 98 and making U-turns and left turns and everything else. So we think it'd be just a much better location for interacting with those guests who are coming down from the north, from I-10 or even beyond. So that's what we're looking at right now. So we'll have some closure on that probably in the next couple of weeks.
Then what would happen with the current?
Well, for the lease terms for that property, we leased that from DEP, and so it would need to, in the way the lease reads, it would need to be returned to its natural state. So, but I don't think DEP is going to want us to demolish that building. I'm sure they'll utilize it for something. So we'll start, depending on what happens with the this property purchase, we'll begin talking to DEP on what their thoughts are on it and timeline, because then, obviously there's a lot of work that we need to do on a new facility. So if I had to guess, we're probably still looking at a good 2-3 years before we're going to be in a new facility. Yeah. But once we decide ultimately where we're going to be, I'd like to have us move quickly to be in a new facility.
Good luck. Do we have any other comments from the committee or the council?
I only have one more. This is awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Really great.
I would just like to say kudos to our staff. That was totally done in-house.
Yeah.
All the editorial and graphic design. So kudos to the staff.
Beautiful.
Courtney did all the design.
Good
Good job, Courtney.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You rock.
It's very representative. This is something that'll be used. Like every business is going to set that out. Very nice. Any comments from the public?
Is there any public?
Have to ask. Any other business we need to talk about today?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is Casual Friday, right?
Always. We're at the beach.
Always. We're at the beach. Very nice.
Mike, how often is this gonna get published, or once a year? I know, it's like,